Hey, it's just me today, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. All I knew was I was not going to have my face be this entire thing, and thankfully, I figured out how StreamYard lets me make it smaller because, yeah, even I wouldn't want to sit there and stare at my gigantic face. So, very glad I'm not making all of you do that as well. But hey, everybody, welcome to the grind. According to Peter, it is Kyren season. Dot 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 again, and he's not wrong. Um, I sat Kyren in one of my leagues. Thankfully, won anyway. But yeah, that's still. Uh, I say every single time I'm here, every single week that I'm terrible at setting lineups, and there you go. Um, but like this week wasn't terrible. This upcoming week is going to be terrible because of the amount of bye weeks that they felt like putting in this late in the season. Like I'm sitting here starting to set my lineups right now, and in Scott Fishbowl, I made round two. By the way, though I'm about to get kicked out because I'm Devonte Adams and T.J. Hawkinson have the same bye week. Apparently, I did not look at bye weeks at all when drafting. The only time I looked at bye weeks was I purposely took Mahomes over Josh Allen because Josh Allen's bye week is like nowish, and I'm just like, I'm not having my first round pick have their bye in the playoffs. And first of all, that was very presumptuous of me to believe I would make the playoffs. But here I am. I'm here, and it's going on. So how are all you doing? How's it going? I guess let's just get started, and I'll go as long as I can until I start falling asleep, which I got to be honest might not be very long. Bopon's always the first in here, so hey, awesome. How's it going? 12 team Superflex PPR 0.5 tight end premium, start 10, year 1. I can secure a buy with a win. Unfortunately, I am playing the person who started 0-4, sold all but 25 and 26 fourth and fifth round picks for a strong team that is 6-6. I love it. Good for them. Is there more? There is. Oh, there's lots more. TJ on by Hurts. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Logan Thomas, start. Yeah. Should I worry about starting Breece Hall? No. Breece Hall is very, 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 very good. And you start very, 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 very good players. Hold on. Breece Hall is questionable, dealing with a hamstring. Yeah, he's limited in practice already. He's practicing. So, like, I don't really think that's going to be an issue. Chances are they're purposefully limiting his practice. And, like, short of him sitting out on Friday, and honestly, like, maybe they do just sit him out on the walkthroughs on Friday or Saturday. But no, I'm not worried about Breece Hall because if he plays, he's good. Leaning towards Terry versus Miami and Najee versus Arizona for flex means benching Brian Robinson versus Miami. I have Deontay too, but he is a bum. Okay, so in case people didn't know, there was a running play in the Steelers game this past week where the ball was snapped. It was given, I believe, to Jaylen Warren. He goes up the middle. The ball gets ripped out and bounces near Deontay Johnson's feet, and he's just strolling to the cuddle already, like not paying attention. And the Bengals just scoop it up. And he even came out. He's like, "Look, I that was wrong. I won't do that again. I absolutely just wasn't there." And it's a run play for a wide receiver who isn't supposed to really block. Like, I get it a little bit that his heart wasn't in that play, but yeah, when you see people diving around your feet, you should be paying a little bit of attention. But I don't think that's why you sit him. If he's going to score you points, you let him score you points. Personally, man, I don't know about benching Brian Robinson. Like at this point, he's just scoring every single week. And Miami hasn't been lighting the world on fire where it seems like they'll need to completely ditch the run. So I think I'd start Brian Robinson and maybe Najee because that's the offense didn't seem terrible. And again, Najee got the touchdown. Najee got the ball a lot. And Arizona doesn't have a very good defense. So I think I stick maybe with them too for now. General strategy question. Was mocked for picking up QBs. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Isn't hoarding QB and Superflex a good idea? Yes, it absolutely is. And who cares what you do with Fab? I honestly don't spend mine. I legitimately forget about waivers 99% of the time. The only time I don't forget about waivers is when I know I had an injury and I have to do something about it. So if they're mocking you for something on waivers, they have far too much time on their hands. But also, like clearly having Browning is working somewhat. Like he's a starting quarterback at the moment for the rest of the season. So it's not stupid to have him. Will you start him? Hopefully not. But it's not, there's absolutely nothing wrong. If you have the roster space, what's the difference who you pick up with it? Week 13 trade deadline, gross. I know they suck, but it blocks a competitor if they have QB injury. Exactly. Like you are absolutely playing keep away, which is a very viable strategy. So let them mock you until one of them realizes that they're screwed. I mean, evening guy. Sorry, it's just me today. How are you feeling about JSN? Is it reroll time? Current offer of JSN and a random 25 second for a 24 late first and random 25 first from a horrible team, 12 team. Okay, so I am not at all giving up on Jackson Smith and Jigba. I know Zach and I have said ever since the draft that this will not be JSN season. Tyler Lockett might be 31, but Tyler Lockett is still very good. And his contract is either up or very cuttable. And I think starting next season will be JSN season. He's been getting decent targets the past few games. This past week, he only got like 3 or 4, but it's been in the 5 to 7 range lately. He hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but that offense hasn't been lighting the world on fire. But even that, saying that, I mean, 2 firsts isn't bad. The fact that the 24 draft is the better draft and it's a late first kind of sucks. But this is like 2 firsts for JSN is not bad. Do I do it? I mean, probably not. Maybe like this offer won't go away. Let's put that way. There's no reason to do it now. Like when we get closer to knowing where these players might land in the rookie drafts, I'm not talking like actual NFL draft, but like when it comes to, we know when players have declared and we know everyone who's going to be in that mesh of towards the end of the first, because draft capital should change things, but it shouldn't. Well, that's a lie. Like draft, we mostly are pretty good at figuring out who's going to get drafted early, who isn't. You get your Hakeem Butlers every once in a while, but usually it's pretty spot on. So, like, once you have a better idea of the people around there, and according to the Devy people I know, there's going to be a lot of very good wide receivers in this coming class. So you might still get a very good wide receiver at the end of the first, but I still really believe in JSN. So I don't rush to do this, and I don't think it goes away. So just hold on to it for now. Interested to hear your oh, by the way, Zach Harris again. Interested to hear your thoughts on Puka for Dynasty. Seems he is being highlighted a lot this week by the X community as a sell after a couple of bad weeks. Is it time to buy? First of all, I will never call it X. It is absolutely still just Twitter. The offense hasn't been doing well. Okay, let me rephrase that. The wide receivers haven't been doing well. Cooper Kupp is off of 3 or 4 really bad weeks. And Puka had a decent game last, not this past week, the week before, but also because I think he scored a touchdown, so he still put up like 18 points. If someone is willing to sell Puka for less than a first, you absolutely should go get him. I mean, he was worth a first when he was scoring all those points, so I don't know if I run to go do it now, but I still absolutely think that, yeah, it's a good time to go get Puka because he's good. We've seen him be good. This offense is being a little weird right now. Maybe now that Kyren Williams is back and maybe a little more worked into the fold, maybe we find out that someone's hurt, like Stafford isn't 100% or something. But I am not discounting Puka after 3 or 4 games, after 8 to 10 games of being fantastic. And not cute. What's quarter? No, that's the end to the fourth. 12-team Superflex. Gave Howell received 25 first and Cousins. That's pretty good. I mean, if that was a 24 first, it would be baller. I believe in Howell, at least the fact that he'll be a starter next year, and I think that he can still be a top 10 to 12 scoring QB. I don't think he's going to be a dynasty top 10 to 12 QB. So I don't think the value will ever get that. Kind of like Kirk Cousins, right? Like he always scored as 10 to 12, but never really was ranked up there. So the fact that you got a first plus a QB that should be back next year, if he wants to play, he's starting somewhere. I know his contract is up in Minnesota, but he'll be somewhere. He's still that good. So you got a starting quarterback who we've seen score points for many years, and you got a first. So I like it. Gavin, 2 trades, 12-team Superflex, start 10, no tight end premium, full PPR, rebuild, give Kyler and a third and get Burrow. Oh, and get Burrow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if you have Burrow rated over Kyler at 25 third means literally 0 right now. So cool. Like if you don't need the points and you think Burrow is better than Kyler, then that's fantastic. They're pretty close to me ranking wise. Like if I needed the points, I would take Kyler. Like exactly this trade. Like they're worth pretty much the same. And I'm not discounting Burrow at all, if not very much, if at all, just because he's missing 7 games of a 26-year-old quarterback's career. So yeah, if you like that, that's cool. Same team, give Olave and Puka, get Brees a 25-26. I would not do that. If you're in a rebuild, why get a running back, who will be in his 3rd year, and a 25 and a 26 first? I mean, like, this is absolutely not believing in Olave or Puka, like, because it's going to be a long time before the 25 or 26 first really builds their value. Sorry, Gavin, just not a fan about that one. Double D. Anybody remember Ed, Ed, and Eddie? I loved that cartoon. Double D with the little hat that he never took off. 1 quarterback, 12 team, start 10, 0.5 PPR, sell Barkley and Hollywood Brown for Tyreek Hill, loads of death, and never start the right. This is me, 100%. I hate having depth on my teams because I never start the right player. So I love this. First of all, I think it's really good value. I am flabbergasted that we have had Kyler back for 3 or 4 games and Hollywood Brown is still doing so poorly. I legitimately don't understand it. He's really, really good. The two of them have done really, really good together, but it's the Trey McBride show right now. Like maybe that's what the title of this should be, not Kyren season, but like forever Trey McBride season now. But this is a beautiful move because, this past week was not the greatest week for wide receivers, but still Tyreek Hill led them all. And that doesn't seem like it's going to stop. So Barkley, in the situation he's in right now, he's a 26, 27-year-old running back on a team led by Tommy DeVito, even though it's hilarious that he does, the forget about it thing whenever he scores a touchdown. Barkley's going to have more bleh games than he has fantastic games. So getting Tyreek is just beautiful. I love that. Mystic Flame, 12-team Superflex, start 11. Have Hurts, Lawrence, Kyler, Bryce. Nice. Brees. Tried to sell Kyler, but was only offered 2. That's stupid. Happily keeping into offseason. Absolutely. In playoff contention with the rebuild in 324 first and seconds. This goes back to exactly what Bo Pons was saying. And what, what they alluded to and what I kind of said as well. You don't like having quarterbacks in Superflex is the right move. And if your league doesn't value them, that makes it even better for you just to grab them all, because sooner or later they're going to need them. And then they'll find out how much they're actually worth. And like, you have 4 really good ones. So you hold on to them and you just wait for it to come into you. Like, honestly, the values probably won't even change in the off season, but when it starts to hit August and people need to start setting their lineups for next year, and they're still looking at injured Daniel Jones and like, what are the Baker Mayfield and like these guys that are doing really well now, but like dynasty wise are just like, like they're going to come call in and you're just going to be like, and like, honestly, what's the worst case scenario? You're going to have to choose who to start, and you're just playing a really, really good game of keep away. And there is nothing wrong with that. I have absolutely, on teams I'm competing with, teams that I'm competing, there have been people that offered up players like Keaton Mitchell or like these guys that are worth like thirds or seconds that are scoring points, and I would never start them because I annoyingly have depth on a couple of my teams. But if I can get them for a third or a late second, I'll do it anyway, so other teams can't get them and use them to score points. Like, points that aren't being scored by other teams are just as good as points scored by you. So just letting them sit on your bench, and you just hopefully they don't outscore the players that you play. It is just as helpful for your team as if you were to have needed to buy them to start them. So good. Hold on to them, and one day you will absolutely have the last laugh on that one. I don't know where Pete is at. He's just like, guys, can't do it today. And then Zach is in a better place. Universal Studios. So yeah, he's absolutely in a better place. So that's why it's just me. Genji, like, seriously, I don't think Pete, Zach, or I can see or hear Demario Douglas without thinking of you at this point. So Genji, congratulations. You absolutely are just enmeshed in our minds with Demario Douglas. So rock and roll. Hey, Frank, my buddy Frank. Buy, sell, hold on T. Higgins. Free agent this offseason. It looks like he isn't helping much the rest of the season. All right, so I'm going to do my absolute best at taking my bias out of this. So, like, pretend this isn't here. T. Higgins is very good at football. T. Higgins has scored very well in fantasy. He hasn't had a top 12 season or anything like that, but he's had top 20 seasons. And when it was just him before Jamar Chase, he was really, really good. And whenever we have a fully healthy T. Higgins and a fully healthy Joe Burrow, he scores pretty well. The Bengals will most likely not be able to afford him. It will be mind-boggling fake math if they are able to keep him on that team. Or unless he just straight up says, I don't need money, just I want to stay on this team. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not an athlete. I've never pretended to be one. I played some, college roller hockey. That's like the extent of my, athleticism. And you could see by the beard, college was a long time ago. So, like, I get that it absolutely makes sense for these players to make as much money as humanly possible, especially because how short their careers are. But, like, I also, in my brain, why wouldn't you want to stay connected to Joe Burrow, have Jamar Chase on your team, and be on a team that is making deep playoff runs every single year? But again, I'm not going to sneeze at making an extra $4 or $5 million somewhere else. And it's funny, I've been saying, like, I'm going to get that green Calvin Ridley Jaguars jersey. I would love to get a nice teal Carolina Panthers T. Higgins jersey, or a matching green Jaguars T. Higgins jersey. Like, that is that I have two dreams, and this is Addison Hayes' fault. One would be the Panthers, because I want those two next to each other. Jaguars, because that would just be the dream. That's the real dream. But then he brought up Houston has a lot. They have the third most cap space coming into this offseason. T. Higgins with CJ Stroud and Tank Dell? Yes, please. Yes, please. But, like, isn't that really what it comes down to right now? Like, T. Higgins' value is at an all-time low. He has the either, like, again, one of two things is going to happen. He's staying on a really, really good team. He's going to choose where to go, and chances are he'll pick a good team, in which case his dynasty value is going to go up. So even if you get him now to sell him for a little bit of an increase later, like we talked about him on the DLF trade show, Jahan Dotson and Jalen Warren for T. Higgins. That's gross. Gross. So, like, seriously, absolutely, like, sell is not on the table for me because of how low those prices are. So buy or hold, and if I weren't me, I would be going and buying. But the fact that everyone knows how I feel, I can't get T. Higgins for a cheap price. But, like, even if it's just a dynasty value play and you don't believe in T. Higgins, I think going to buy him is really the way to go. I just answered this. If he leaves, where do you want him to go? Like Houston would literally just be amazing. Arizona, across from uh, Hollywood, would also be cool. Him and Kyler would probably work well together. Um, I don't know. Like honestly, there's not like a lot of places I'd be super sad about. Like just go to a good quarterback is. Oh man, I want him to get that X volume. That's the dream. Speaking of X brain underscore burst X, man, that's like anybody old enough for AOL Instant Messenger. One of my first was IX am X Batman X because it was the cool thing to use X's and everything. But it was really before underscores were a thing. Yeah, I'm alone. I missed out on SFP playoffs by about 100 spots. That's nothing compared to the fact that there were over 3,000 people in. That sucks. 2 weeks ago, I told Zach and Peter I moved Mostert for Kyren, and they hated it. Said I was overvalued age. What do you think? No, that's fine. Like, the only reason to hate it a couple of weeks ago is the fact that we didn't really know when Kyren was coming back. Like, to me, that's the biggest issue with that trade 2 weeks ago is it's funny. Ever since the IR got dropped to 4 weeks, players go on IR, and we're just like, he'll be back in 5. It's fine. And that's clearly not always going to be the case. And we get so little information a lot of these times where, it's like Cooper Kupp in the beginning when he's, ready to perform, not ready to play. Justin Jefferson has been available to come back for a week now. They have their bye this week, so hopefully it's the week after. Like, the only thing that really would have gotten bad is if Kyren didn't come back. Clearly, you can hindsight this one and say, look what I did because Kyren just crushed it. But like if both of them were playing, no one would think twice about it. So I think it's absolutely fine. If anything, Kyren is a workhorse for the rest of the season. And I really want Achane to get healthy again. And then Mostert will be splitting with Achane. So there's nothing to hate about it. Like literally, if I don't think I was here for this, but that my reaction, I would hope would have been like, if Kyren comes back right away, then this is absolutely fine because we've seen they want Kyren to be their workhorse. Jason, what's your opinion on Michael Carter on the Arizona Cardinals? Now, do you think he could be the future or he's always going to be a backup, which really makes me sad because he did really well his rookie year when it was pretty much just him on the Jets. And even after Breece Hall came in, Carter played like they put him in on the red zone and the goal line, and he did pretty well. There was one game I like he vultured 2 or 3 touchdowns from Breece, and since I didn't have any shares of Breece, I loved it and I thought it was hilarious. Like, there's nothing wrong with keeping him on your roster because it's not like you're going to start him and hope something's going to happen. He's at the bottom of your roster, so it's cool just to hold on to him. I never dropped him. I just dropped my last share of Andrew Luck like last season. So like I hold on to players forever. So there's no reason to drop Michael Carter. So just have him there in case it happens. But I don't think so. Hey, we got a secret website to pick up some more SFP. I am trying to convince them to do more selling stuff. And if Bob is still watching, he's probably like, or just agreeing with me right now. I'm not sure. I hope there will be another run. I can't say if there actually will be, but I want there to be because I want more stuff. But it's not going to be during the season, I don't think. But there might be some after because also, yes, my daughter has run away with, I have the Snuggly Duckling from Tangled, and she has stolen that shirt, which is annoying because she also stole my actual Snuggly Duckling t-shirt. Like she stole both of them. I can't even have the fake one. But yeah, the designers did such a good job this year. I almost don't want to buy any wide receivers unless they're top 8. Too many wide receivers coming into the league. That is a legit concern. Concern might not be the right word, but it is absolutely something that you're going to need to keep in mind because, like, not even counting Marvin Harrison Jr., like Malik Neighbors is straight up destroying it. Egbuka's hurt, but he's still really, really good. And I know it's a Dynasty Trade Calculator show, but like, listen to excuse me, Dynasty Wall Street. We have Travis May on there now, and I love it because Travis May is a talker. So like he goes on and up. Oh man, I'm just so excited about these incoming wide receivers. He goes on and on about how good this class is going to be, and I love the fact that they're all like 6'4", 220, and that is absolutely my jam. I love the X-type body of a wide receiver, even though that's not what the league does anymore, but they might not have a choice after this season or after this draft class. I don't think you're going to have to super worry. Like, I don't think many players are going to jump like Jordan Addison. If Tank Dell finishes the season the way he is, I don't think many of them, again, Marvin Harrison's probably going to be the dynasty wide receiver 3. It's just the hype reality of it all. Malik Neighbors, if he gets drafted top 10, top 15, he might also. But like most of these guys are going to fall into that wide receiver 17 down. And it'd probably take like, because I remember Garrett Wilson coming in at 17, like Drake London and, you know, well, Burks was a little lower, even though I loved Burks. But like usually your average higher end wide receiver will come in the mid to late teens, I should say. So if you're looking at top 15 to 20 wide receivers, I think you'll still be fine. Like I don't think their value will take that much of a hit, but also you're going to score points. Like, I don't think that's something to worry about. But of a pure dynasty value perspective in the non-point scoring season, wide receiver is going to get very interesting very quick once we start getting into real rookie talk season. I hate you, Bob. Evan, 10-team Superflex PPR. There you go. Give Bijan. Wow. Just starting with the phrase give Bijan and Breece. And I can't find the words to finish this. Give Bijan and Breece, get T-Law, ETN, and 2 seconds. Oof. I don't think I want to do that. I got to be honest. It was so much fun with ETN scoring 2 touchdowns every game. Before that and after that, he has not been much. Like, and I love Trevor Lawrence, and I love that the past 2 weeks have been fantastic for fantasy. But like, there's a good chance that he's going to settle in that QB 12-ish range, and will just be better in real life than he is in fantasy, unless they get T. Higgins, in which case to the moon. Like, is the value of this bad? No. Bijan and Trevor Lawrence aren't all that far apart. Like, Bijan's probably a little higher at this point because of Trevor Lawrence's. Well, no, because Bijan's had a bit. Let's just say Bijan and Lawrence are probably equal enough. Breece and Cousins Breece and ETN are probably right next to each other, so you can probably just cross them off. And Cousins for 2 seconds at this point, being a 34-ish year old hurt quarterback, 2 seconds. So like value-wise, I think this is absolutely fine. And if you're happy with T-Law and ETN, like maybe you're a Jags fan, more power to you. That's awesome. But I think maybe I would feel better splitting this up to do that. And I don't know if you're competing the rest of the season, which it seems like you might be, but like riding the playoffs with Lamar and Geno isn't that bad. And Bijan is 2-3 games in a row of getting a real workload. So I don't know if I'm giving up on him, and I'm not. I love Breece. So value-wise, I think it's fine. I don't think it's something you have to do if you're looking to keep competing. If you're not competing, I don't think I do this, even though you are getting rid of running backs and getting a young quarterback. Probably also just because you're just getting another running back that's the same age. So I don't really know if that's super worth it either. But again, if the value's fine and you like the players you're getting, that's all that really matters. Well, the value being fine isn't even the... Let me switch the order. If you're happy with it, awesome. If the value is good, even better. As long as you're happy, that's all that really matters. Hey, man, how's it going? What are your thoughts on DeAndre Swift next year? Do you think he signs with the Eagles or signs a bigger contract somewhere else? I don't think he's getting a bigger contract somewhere else. Again, have to just continuously shout out Travis May. We are not in a very good place for running backs. We, I think, need to hold on to the running backs we have, because there are no great running backs coming out this season, and he's making it seem like there's no good running backs coming out next season so far. So but I think Swift stays. He's hasn't been lighting the fantasy world on fire like he did week 2, but he's doing really well for the team, and I think that's all that matters. So I think he'll stay in Philadelphia. They wanted him, they traded for him, and assuming they want to keep him there, I think he stays there. And that's honestly probably the best for him because it's a really good offense. Thanks for the comments. The guy doing the mocking only has Dak, Love, and Zappy. Don't want to wish ill on a player, but karma can be a bitch if they need it. You're absolutely right. And like, it's really fun. Okay, so in one of my Trade Addicts leagues, I traded for Tank Dell today. I sent a 24 first for Tank Dell. It's a league I'm spike competing in. I don't have my first, so I'm like, before the season started, my team was terrible. I was trying to get my first back, and he was doing the right thing and horribly overvaluing it. But he's like, no, dude, your first is going to be early. I'm holding on to it. And I'm like, oh, my first is going to be early? You think so? So I went to work, and I'm 6-6. I am one game. I mean, we still have a couple of weeks before playoffs, but I'm one game out. You know, we do the 6th seed on points, and I'll be screwed if it comes to that. But I think I have 2 winnable games ahead of me, and I need a couple of other things going on to help. But like, so regardless, I traded for Tank Dell, and immediately 3 teams sent me offers for Tank Dell. So I went into the group chat, and I was just like, hey man, if y'all wanted Tank so bad, why wouldn't you have just sent Kenny was the guy who had it. Why wouldn't you have been sending offers to Kenny? But if these are the offers you were sending him anyway, I guess I see why he didn't send them to you. And I threw that little shrug emoji in there. And like, it was absolutely meant to like, and then one of the guys, I noticed I did not name names. I did not say who sent me offers because that would have been a dick move. And I was just, and one of the dudes that sent me offers like, why so negative? And I was like, it was meant more as playful than as negative. And I even said like, and honestly, I will literally never actually be upset or really negative about anything when it comes to fantasy football. It's a game, unless you're being a dick, in which case it's my league and I'm going to be annoyed about it. But like, I'm not going to get upset about trade offers. I was trying to be playful. But so the fact that someone's actually willing to be a jerk about fab spending is the dumbest thing ever. And while I would never want injury on a player, like, they need some sort of karma coming back at them. I mean, Instant Messenger was still way before 08, but like that checks. That absolutely checks. Lakers Commanders, random question. Where is somewhere you want to go on vacation that you have never been? Have a good night. I want to go to Britain. I want to go to England and Ireland and Scotland. I want to, like, I think that's the only place I really have, short of like, I want to go to, like, Japan would be awesome, but there's no way in hell I'm ever doing that plane ride. Like, I mean, I was a huge anime fan in high school. I was a huge video game person growing up. My son is now huge into Nintendo. So going to Japan would be amazing. And my daughter likes to travel. She's only 8, but still, you know, has these delusions of grandeur that we're going on these huge vacations every year. And she wants to go to Japan and to London also. So like, I think those are my real answers. Like, I would love to go to those places because, first of all, like, the culture of both of those places are amazing, and beer and whiskey for you know, England and Ireland and stuff like that. And it's all so cool. And, you know, in America, we have the least idea of what history really means because we just haven't really been around for that long. But then you go to these, like, we went to Paris last year, and you see these things built in like 500-600 years ago, and you're just like, oh, yeah, 1776 wasn't that long ago. And of course, that's just the Declaration of Independence. That's not when people got here, but still, huge time difference. Nick, thought I was tanking, but now I'm projected playoff team. Here's my roster, and I'm looking for advice. Hold on, let me scroll down and look for your, there you go. Dak. Okay, hold on. It's 12-team PPR. So only one quarterback. So, okay, cool. Dak, AJ Brown. Why did you think you were rebuilding? You have good players. Bijan, Brian Robinson, Laporta, Higgins, London, McBride. Your team's good. You have a really solid core of a team. Technically can keep 14 players. Dak, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Bijan, Laporta, Higgins, London, McBride. I mean, you didn't even list 14 players down there. Like, you have a really great, solid team. Like, yeah, you should be most likely pretty close to a playoff team. And especially now with Bijan stepping it up. I mean, DK has ups and downs, and hopefully Higgins can come back healthy, even though it's with Jake Browning now. Like, and McBride coming on, Singletary. It's yet to be seen what's going to happen with a very healthy Dameon Pierce, but Singletary's been doing really, really well. Khalil Herbert working his way back. Like, you might have a late rising roster and just do really well. If you don't want to do well, sell Brian Robinson. If you can get a second for Keaton, I don't know if you can anymore. But if you can get seconds and thirds for Singletary, Keaton, even maybe Khalil Herbert. I love Roschon. I firmly believe Roschon's going to be a thing. Start selling those things for pieces to get smaller things, or see if you have a team in your league where you could probably piece together Brian Robinson and two of those smaller running backs, or Michael Thomas, or maybe you don't believe in Drake London, and turn that into one player for you to put into next year or to score points this year. Like, you got a lot of things you can be doing with this roster. Like, if you can do well with it, or you can rebuild with it and still be fine. And Dak is only 30 in QB years. That's absolutely nothing. So don't even worry about moving him. But he's scoring a whole lot of points. So even in one QB, you should be able to get a decent amount for him. Anyone crushing Underdog Best Ball Mania 4? I know myself well enough that if I ever started doing these things, it would get out of hand. Like, when I first started DraftKings, and here's the annoying thing, like, I knew I couldn't do big money, so I was doing small amounts, like maybe less than $10 a week, but I was still doing the research like I was doing $100, $1,000 a week. And, I was making some money, of course, only putting in $10. I was making anywhere from, $2 to 15, 25 if I was lucky. Like, my bank was absolutely more at the end than it was at the beginning, but I'm sitting just here like, yo, this is exhausting. So I just like, and especially when it comes to drafts, I'm absolutely good having like 18 drafts going at the same time. So like, I know I can't start those, but like, I love reading about people that do. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I firmly believe in T. If your daughter keeps stealing your stuff, it's time to contact the authorities. So you know how, like, when you're married, like they said, what's yours is mine. When you have a daughter, what's anyone's is theirs. So she's the authority anyway. Like, it's funny. You can ask her, who's in charge, and she'll be like, mommy's in charge. And I go, yeah, but I can't argue with that. And I'm like, but I'm next. And she's like, well, and I'm like, I can't agree to that, because if I ever actually say yes to that, she will hold it over me the rest of my life. But like, she's not wrong when she gives that pause, that very, very sarcastic pause that she learned from me, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't stand a chance with her. She's way too cute, way too smart, and way too. I got nothing. She's just better than I am. Get Dortch on waiver. Like, here we go. Genji's just gonna say, get all these guys I like. There you go. Go listen to Genji. They know what they're doing. Thanks for the input. Definitely very validating with the team I've built. If I wanted to compete with this year, are there any players I should target? Better RB2 or slight wide receiver upgrades? We talked about DeAndre Swift. He had a really, really good schedule for the rest of the season. I don't think he'll cost you too much, because, again, he's not really crushing it or anything. I was about to say DK Metcalf also has a good schedule, but you already have him on your team. Brandon Ayuk has a really, really good schedule, but there's a chance the person who has them on their roster likes him already. But if by any chance they're on a team, Brandon Ayuk is on a team that's not doing great, I think Ayuk is a great way to go. I haven't really got one of the rough parts about not having trade deadlines is not really worrying about, playoff schedules until it's really time to start worrying about it, which means like the week before the playoffs. But I guess, with the amount of shows I do, I probably should be paying attention just to be able to help other people out. But like those are the few that have been popping off on the top of my head. Like they have really good schedules for the rest. Like if you wanted to, hold on, let's pull up player stats. Let's go to running backs and sort by average. Man, if you want just like a few good games, try and get Zach Moss just to push you towards the playoffs. Even though Jonathan Taylor's going to come back, you can probably get Zach Moss for 2/3. Because let's face it, no one's going to pay a second for two or three games, which is what it seems like Jonathan Taylor might miss. But Zach Moss is still, even having 2 games with like almost no carries, he's still at almost 14 points per game. That just shows how well he was doing before, so get going and grabbing him. Ramondre Stevenson has been pretty good lately, but there's also a chance that person just is like, Patriots running backs and the Patriots are terrible. I don't hate going after Ramondre right now. That's really all I have off the top of my head. Actually, hold on. You know what? Let's do this another way. Let's just look at the past few weeks. We just finished week 12. Let's go like week 9. Average points per game. Let's see if there's anybody out of the ordinary up here. Not really. I mean, Jaylen Warren is, no, you don't want to do that because we have 1 week sample size of the new offensive play calling, and he only has 7 points, so that's not really necessarily great. Antonio Gibson put up 6.7 points, but also 2 weeks ago put up 23. There's nothing that's really super surprising here. Chuba Hubbard. No one's going to value him too highly, but he's still scoring a decent amount of points. Let's go with wide receiver. See if there's anything glaring in here that seems a little out of the ordinary. No, man. Jaden Reed at wide receiver 16 at 15.5 points per game. I love that kid. He's doing really, really well. Brandon Cooks. So like the past 3 weeks for him are 32, 7, and 17. You're not getting Rashee Rice very cheaply or anything. Hey, look, there's Demario Douglas at 12 points per game over the past 4 games. Yeah, there's no real surprises in here, wide receiver wise. So I think that's really kind of what you're stuck with. But at least you do already have one wide receiver with a very good schedule. Then you have one wide receiver who's just really, really good in AJ Brown. Hey, Josh. 12 team, Superflex, tight end premium, and I'm a top 10 to 12 team. Nice. Want to offer Myers, Keaton Mitchell, and my 24 first for Josh Jacobs. Is that too low of an offer? No. When you tell people about it, start with your first. Starting with Myers and Keaton Mitchell, you're like, oh, and then you see, okay, no, a first, because honestly, is Josh Jacobs worth more than a first right now? Probably not. He's Josh Jacobs. He's good. He had a really weird couple of rough patches this season, but he's still, past 4 games, running back 11 with 15.75 points per game, 1 bad game with 6 points. They have a bye this week, which might make him a little easier to buy right now, honestly. But, okay, coming back to MFL, again, just to put it out there, they rank opposing defenses just by fantasy points allowed, so it's very easily skewed by game scripts and stuff like that. But Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs, and Colts, which are 8, 25, 13, and 27. So Josh Jacobs has a pretty decent playoff schedule. So giving up your first, which is seemingly going to be in the later part of the first round, with 2 players you hope you never have to start, I think is a solid offer, assuming the other team doesn't really need points. Like if the team that has Josh Jacobs is maybe not making the playoffs, getting a first for Josh Jacobs at this point sounds like a victory. So I think that's absolutely good to go with. Like, I think that's a great starting spot, just especially if anything, just to see what they come back with. Because if they come back with like 2 firsts, there's no point in trying. If you wanted to start a little stronger, maybe you have one player that's worth what Myers and Mitchell might be. So maybe someone that's worth 2 seconds as opposed to 2 players worth about a second each. But Myers has always been a steady fantasy scorer, and Keaton Mitchell has that flash of being the fast dude on that offense. So like that could be enticing enough to at least get them thinking. Like, I don't think someone sees that and just like snarks and hits like a really quick reject. We're out of comments at the moment. I don't really have anything off the top of my head to talk about, unfortunately. Okay, so Justin Fields. I want to talk about Justin Fields for a second because I know, like it's really funny. Like, I love the wide range of things, the way people feel about Justin Fields. I think what really comes down to is like that dude is going to start next year. There's a chance it might not be for the Bears. Like, that is absolutely the case. But if a team is willing to pay for what it takes to trade for him, because even though he hasn't done anything fantastic, even though the Bears have been terrible, he's done well. He's shown enough that there's going to be a decent amount of coaches that have the ego to say, I can work with that. I can fix that. He'll probably go for a first-round pick, if not more than that. So, like, they are showing commitment to Justin Fields. And if the Carolina Panthers continue sucking and the Bears don't take Caleb Williams, that shows commitment to Justin Fields. So, like, I think I'm still in on him. And I know this past week was scary, but really it looks like that coaching staff needs to go. And I don't think it's far-fetched for them to go. So like I think it's hard to imagine it getting worse, right? Like, we said it last year, but it feels like we have to say it again. Like, at least with the Jaguars, when it was Urban Meyer, like we said, it can't get worse, and it got a lot better by getting Doug Peterson. It took me like months to remember Eberflus, however you say it. Like, I still don't remember fully what his name is, but like, it took me forever just to remember that somebody whose name is something like that was the coach of the Bears. So I really think that Justin Fields might be a nice, fun guy to go after, even like, especially once you hit the off season, because, there's still the thought that he could be scoring points this season. I still think he will be scoring points. Hold on. So let's go quarterbacks. Average. Justin Fields, including that 6.5 game in which he got hurt, he's averaging 20 points per game, 19.9, QB 15, 23 points that first week, 13 in what was a complete and utter trash week. I mean, he's not going to lose 2 fumbles every single game. So, and I get it. There's going to be a lot of people who hate Ohio State quarterbacks, which, cool. Or people that have just been burned by how much they liked him and how he hasn't produced to that I think there's going to be enough people giving up on him that you could probably get a good deal on him. If you can get him for a single first that's not top 5, I think it's absolutely worth it. Whew, I stalled for long enough. I'm a diehard 49er fan, but how do you feel about the Niners beating the Eagles? And I really wish Buffalo would have pulled out that win last week. I hate how good the Niners are. First of all, real quick, fantasycares.org/GG. Your donation could enter you into winning a signed Brandon Ayuk jersey, or he's not helping you right now, but he's been helping you the whole season, or a signed Amari Cooper mini helmet. Maybe both. Does the dancing help? Does the dancing make you want to go donate? fantasycares.org/GG. Also, tomorrow's the last day. I might as well keep pimping while I'm pimping. fantasycares.org/JDRF. Tomorrow's the last day to donate to enter to win this Mark Andrews signed jersey. Every dollar that gets donated is going to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. We're just trying to, help them out. And you might win a Mark Andrews jersey. Worst case scenario, we help cure or prevent or care for juvenile type 1 diabetes. That ain't bad. I would love the NFC Championship to be the Niners and the Eagles, because they're the two best teams. Hold on, right now I use Tankathon for everything when it comes to standings at this point, because it's just fun and I love saying the name Tankathon. They have San Francisco and Philadelphia are the two best records, including strength of schedule and wins and all of that stuff, in the NFC. And then after, there's a lot of 8-3 teams, but in the NFC behind them is Detroit and Dallas. It's Detroit and Dallas. So I think there's a very good chance we get San Francisco, Philadelphia in the NFC Championship. Do I believe in Brock Purdy? The real answer to this, it doesn't matter, because Kyle Shanahan sure as hell believes in Brock Purdy. He is doing more than well enough. It's really funny. If you listen to the Trade Addicts podcast, Rocky was just dying on the hill that Trey Lance was going to start, because Trey Lance at least has the skill set to win you a Super Bowl, and Brock Purdy is just good enough to get you to the playoffs. It has never seemed to matter who Kyle Shanahan's quarterback was. It's never seemed to matter who any of the Shanahan's quarterbacks were, unless you're RG3, because then Mike Shanahan just wanted to end his career. He did end his career. But Purdy absolutely seems good enough to be able to not just run this offense, because Jimmy G was good enough to run the offense. He got them to the Super Bowl. I think Purdy makes that throw to Emmanuel Sanders streaking down the sideline and the Niners win. So I believe enough in Brock Purdy that he is more than a game manager. And most importantly, he and Brandon Ayuk have a great connection. So he's that guy where if you need someone streaking down the sideline, it's going to be Ayuk. So I think that works. That plays better also. So I believe enough in Brock Purdy. If we're talking fantasy, dynasty wise, I don't think he'll ever be more than a high end QB2, but you need those. It doesn't need to be summer to buy JSN, because people are already giving up, and that is wrong. RG3 was doing really, 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 really well until Mike Shanahan literally just sent him out to destroy his knee. So that doesn't work. Sorry, Colin. I need to show you all something. I can't do my camera doesn't go far enough. Hold on. I need to see do I have. So I work, for Fantasy Cares, volunteer, I guess, because it's not like I get paid or anything. And so does Bob Gilchrist. And we made the mistake of showing Bob how to buy things on the internet. Hold on. Present, share screen. This is a box that came to my house today. You'll notice there are some that seem like they're higher up than the others. If you look at Jamar Chase and Patrick Mahomes, that's because there's two of them. And I will say This was not the first shipment of Funko Pops I got. So we have a crap ton of them. And not to mention the amount of jerseys that Bob has been purchasing. Ew, gross, giant head. There you go. Because Jackson Smith and Jigba is very, very, very good at football. That's really what it is. He's very, 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 very good. And especially when it comes to wide receivers, you worry a little less about situation because they have time to grow into it. I think by now Seattle has to realize Geno Smith isn't the answer. So they're hopefully going to do something about that. Tyler Lockett's another year older. They are never going to do anything at tight end. Sooner or later, they have no choice but to go through JSN because he's just that good. And I think it's absolutely going to happen. And that's really honestly why I say go buy JSN, because you want to buy the right players. You want to buy talented players. And like with running backs, one of the reasons I hate running backs, it's like DeAndre Swift. We see what DeAndre Swift is doing. We knew that DeAndre Swift was talented. DeAndre Swift gets traded to the Eagles. And then what happens week 1? One touch. Who cares about talent? Who cares about situation? All that matters is that coach did not want to play him. Kenneth Gainwell gets hurt. Hey, he was really, really, really wrong. Like, so that matters so much more than what it does with wide receivers, because wide receivers get on the field and they earn their own targets. It has absolutely nothing to do with being put on the field to be handed the ball. It depends what you're paying for him. Like, am I going to take JSN over Marvin Harrison Jr.? No. If Malik Neighbors gets really highly drafted to a team that seems like they'll pass the ball more, no. But am I going to take him over the 5th or 6th wide receiver? Most likely. Because I think that JSN is that talented. Now, again, it absolutely depends what game you're playing. If you're talking about pure value game, there's going to be more value in draft picks coming up, because we are going to get enamored with these wide receivers. We really, really, really are. Not to mention in super flex leagues, there's going to be probably 4 to 5 quarterbacks going in the first round of rookie drafts, assuming the NFL draft goes the way that people think it's going to be right now. So first round picks are going to be very, very valuable. Like, we're looking at like 2020 where you're getting T. Higgins and Michael Pittman in the second. But that's what we're looking at this year. But you want talented players, and JSN is a talented player. Like that's really all it comes down to. I'm not saying you're wrong for not wanting him. I just happen to believe in the player, and I was insanely upset when the Seahawks drafted him, and now you see why. Shanny literally took plays out of the playbook that RG3 excelled at. Same is happening with Fields, being boxed into an offensive scheme, not having an offense built around his strengths. For the first 4 games this season, I will agree with you. Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough, Colin, and I apologize because this does hit home. But we've seen that the Bears have the ability to be like, our bad, here you go, Justin. And in another week, and I'm sorry, is it Jazz? Jazz? Let me know how to pronounce it, and I'll do it right from now on. Jazz Fresh was saying there's going to be a crap ton of good wide receivers coming in. What if the Bears trade back 2 spots and get Marvin Harrison Jr. to go across from DJ Moore? It'll be really hard for Justin Fields to not do well. So I get it. It's absolutely the coaching staff. But again, if they do choose to go with Caleb Williams and he goes to another team, then he's fine. RG3 was exiled because he wanted more say in the offense. So Shanny ran him into the ground versus letting him become a better passer. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Coaching egos are atrocious. And I only say that because I don't like cursing on DLF shows. Otherwise, it would have been a lot stronger worded. Yes, Shanahan was a piece of crap for what he did, and you will never be able to convince me that he didn't do all of this on purpose. Nick back on the team above. I have Laporta, McBride, and Muth all in one dynasty team. Should I be looking to move any of them or wait till their value keeps going up? I would move Muth while you can. He's coming off of being the tight end one for the week, and let's face it, that offense isn't that good. It was great. This was prime last year Muth. No, this was prime last year Steelers offense, where literally every pass that went over the center was to Pat Freiermuth, and they just did it a lot this past game. Muth is one of those safe tight ends for me. He's not great. He's not uber athletic. The offense isn't prolific in any way. Laporta and McBride are both super athletic and on very pass-heavy offenses. Pass-heavy is the wrong word for the Lions, but they're a good passing team. So I would keep them for now. I would move Muth right now. That was tough to say. Of course, also depending on what you can get for him. If there's no tight end premium, which I don't think there was, getting a second for Muth is absolutely a victory. Joseph, in a 1 QB league, what players would you be trying to acquire right now if you were a rebuilder? Young wide receivers. In 1 quarterback leagues, if I'm full rebuilding, all I do is load my team with young wide receivers and figure out the rest as it goes. It's also fun to load on young tight ends, and now seems to be that it might be a little too late for that with most of them doing really well. But if you wanted to try and grab like Musgrave, and I'm completely blanking on any other young tight ends that are doing pretty well, like that's not a bad deal, because it's always tight end becomes rough every single year. And, injuries are tough at tight end because you're blocking ends going out to receive. So, like, I think stocking on tight ends, even if you don't plan on playing them or keeping them, is also a good way to go. But I build around young wide receivers. In 1 quarterback, maybe then I'll find a quarterback I like. And then when you're ready, when you have that wide receiver core built, you have that quarterback that you want to play for the next year or two, that's when you start filling in the blanks of running backs and a tight end that's going to score you points. Those are always the last thing you do, because running backs and tight ends can be very, very streaky year to year. Except like a lot of the players that Nick has, like McBride and Laporta, they're very talented and they're in places that seem like they want to feature them. But like usually you're stuck with the Zach Ertzes and all of these Logan Thomas, like guys that are more like that. So you can plug them in a lot easier. But I still just personally build my team around young wide receivers. Is there anyone specific? Not really. I mean, I've been shouting about JSN for the past, hour, so maybe him. But otherwise, have fun. Go find some players you like. And honestly, if you want to really, really have fun, if you have a very active league, don't worry about age. Go for any player you think is going to go gain value. Go grab T. Higgins. Even if you don't want to hold on to a 26-year-old wide receiver, his value is going to probably go up whenever he re-signs or signs somewhere else. So if you can get him at what seems to be these ridiculous prices that are going right now, go for it. I mean, I wish I could add a more specific thing to help you, but like that's really the best I can think of right now. Off topic of player questions, thoughts on how AI tools and platforms will help with your player evaluations and projection process, even if it's just adding efficiencies. I am old. I know very little about the real world applications of AI, instead of kids using them to write papers for them and the Avi makers for SFB getting lazy and just using AI to make a bunch of Avis. I have to assume that it will be helpful in the long run. I prefer, at least nowadays, to use it as adding efficiencies. It's like the idea of instant replay for refs. I like having the human being on the field, but there's nothing wrong with having replay to help out every once in a while. And I don't even just mean replay. Like, there should be someone in a booth with all of the camera angles to be like, no, like that wasn't pass interference. Pick up that flag, like that kind of thing. Like I would be all there for that, but I like having the human ref on the field. I'm sure in the next couple of years, there's absolutely going to be full on AI scripts that just do evaluations on players, and it will probably be very, 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 very good. But also, football is a dinosaur and probably won't adopt it for the next 20 years anyway. I have Andrews, McBride, Muth, Fant as my main tight ends. Tried to move on from Andrews, but of course Thursday Night Football happened. Yeah. Look. Words. Mark Andrews is coming back this NFL season. Like, he will be back for the NFL playoffs, in which case you're better off holding him anyway. He's not scoring points for you and you want to rebuild, so it doesn't hurt him having on your roster. There are going to be teams that will, the season will end. They'll have come in third and be really pissed off about it. And they're going to be like, all right, Evan Engram wasn't enough for me. Joseph wants to rebuild, and he has Mark Andrews. So don't push moving Andrews right now, especially because it's not hurting you to hold on to him. Like, you're not competing, and he's scoring you 0. You're rebuilding, and he's scoring you 0. That's like the dream, right? But also don't forget 28's not old for a tight end. So seriously, like, unless you're getting a very good deal on Andrews, don't worry about moving him. But I would hold on to McBride because I hate that it happened, but with Ertz getting hurt, because I really do like Zach Ertz also, but it was a matter of time. But like, I really thought it'd be before the end of this season that McBride would have taken over anyway. So I do believe in McBride, and the Cardinals have loved using tight ends, regardless of who their coach or offensive coordinator are. Like, maybe it's just Kyler loves using tight ends. So I would hold on to McBride and be willing to move the rest of them. You can drop Fant. Don't, but like, that's just what his value. It's absolutely nothing. Logan Thomas, if you can go get a third for Logan Thomas, just take it at this point. Yeah. I have a friend named Jasmine who she did use JAS, and I'm like, I can't, my brain doesn't. So I started using JAZ whenever, like, she's in my phone as Jazz, JAZ. So yes, thank you for letting me know, and I will call you Jazz Fresh from now on. Well, it is 10:40, and I could honestly go to bed right now. So I will ramble for another minute or two and see if we get, some more comments to talk about. But if not, I might be calling it a night. Sorry, I know it's a lot earlier than you're used to, but it's just me. Like, I don't even have anyone, I can't like toss it to someone to take a quick power nap, while they're talking. Like, I need Peter here so we can click on a spreadsheet and ramble for 20 minutes about how much he misses Kendrick Bourne, so I could just take a quick power nap. I'm used to the booze by now. They don't hurt me anymore, Bob. You can't hurt me anymore, Bob. All right, everyone. Well, yeah, thank you for putting up with just me and not leaving, assuming you didn't leave. Or if you came in, thanks for staying and all of that fun stuff. I appreciate the heck out of all of you for being here and all of that. And all right, you did it. I would start putting Stroud in around 6, by the way. Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts are still my easy top 3. I'm still putting Lamar and Herbert above him. But like 5 games into next season, if Stroud is still doing this, I will start listening to QB4 without blinking an eye. Of course, if you want him as your QB3, I'm not actually going to argue with it. But he's just doing so well. Like, how can you argue with it? You really, really can't. The only thing you need to see is for him to do it more than once. And that's really what it'll come down to. And it seems like they have all of the ammo in the world to go beef up that offense, which hopefully doesn't, make him content and not try and do whatever he's doing now, because it's just so much fun to watch. But yeah, on that note, thank you everyone for stopping in, for hanging around, for watching. Fantasycares.org. Please go donate, and good night, everybody. Oh wait, no, I think should I do the DLF thing on the way out? Does he have any fun videos on here? No. I'm just gonna hit this button.